Elias Ward had never imagined that a routine survey on Varelia would change his life forever. The colony planet was beautiful yet unforgiving. Its forests stretched for miles, with towering trees whose leaves shimmered in soft shades of green and blue. The air was thick with the scent of exotic flora, and strange, almost musical calls echoed through the valleys. It was a place that tested both skill and courage, and Elias had always prided himself on being prepared. He was walking along a narrow canyon path, the kind that cut deep into the planet's rocky surface. Beside him, the young girl Lyra skipped lightly over the stones. She was only 7, but there was something in her eyes that made Elias uneasy and protective at the same time. She was no ordinary child. She had arrived at the colony under mysterious circumstances, found wandering near the edge of the forest with no memory of her past. Despite her fragile appearance, there was a quiet strength about her that set her apart from everyone else. "Careful, Lyra," Elias warned, keeping one hand near the edge of the path in case she slipped. "Those stones are loose," Lyra smiled, her laughter like wind chimes in the canyon. "I'm fine, Elias, I can do it." Elias couldn't help but smile at her confidence, though a part of him worried constantly. Varelia was home to creatures and dangers humans had yet to fully understand, predators that moved silently, storms that erupted without warning, and worse, other beings who might see Lyra as more than just a child. He had spent years training for moments like this, but nothing could have prepared him for what was coming. A rustle from the trees above caught his attention. He froze, scanning the thick foliage. "Lyra, stay close," he whispered. The girl obediently held his hand, her small fingers trembling slightly. And then it happened. From the shadows, a group of strange humanoid figures emerged. Their skin was dark, almost metallic in the faint light of the forest canopy, and their eyes glowed with a reddish hue. They moved with unnatural speed, surrounding Elias and Lyra with terrifying precision. Elias reacted immediately. He stepped in front of Lyra, placing himself between her and the attackers. "Get back!" he shouted. The figures didn't hesitate. They lunged forward with weapons that emitted a low hum, slicing through the air dangerously close to Elias. He dodged and countered, using his years of combat training to shield the girl. One blow struck him squarely in the shoulder, sending pain shooting down his arm, but he did not fall. He gritted his teeth and pushed forward, forcing the attackers to retreat slightly. Lyra screamed, but it was not the sound of fear. It was something else. She extended her small hands toward Elias and the attackers. A soft, glowing light began to emanate from her palms, spreading like a gentle wave through the clearing. The attackers froze, their glowing eyes widening in shock. They had not expected this. Elias, barely able to stand, looked at her in awe. "Lyra, what are you doing?" he gasped, trying to keep his balance. I don't know," she cried. The light pulsed stronger, pushing the attackers backward. They hissed and growled, unable to approach her as the glow seemed to burn the air around them. Elias saw an opening. With all the strength he had left, he grabbed Lyra's hand and ran, ducking into a narrow crevice between 2 giant rocks. The attackers hesitated at the entrance, their forms flickering as if the light had confused their senses. Elias could feel his body trembling from pain and exhaustion, but he ignored it. Protecting Lyra was all that mattered. Once they were out of immediate danger, Elias leaned against the cold stone wall, catching his breath. Lyra was panting, her glow fading as she realized she was safe. You saved me," she whispered, her voice trembling. Elias shook his head, managing a weak smile. "No, you saved yourself too. That light, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it." As he helped her steady herself, Elias noticed the signs that had appeared during the attack. Strange footprints were left behind, patterns that did not match any known creatures on Varelia. There were also faint energy residues, almost like tiny sparks in the soil, marking the path the attackers had taken. Someone or something had been here before, watching, waiting. Elias's mind raced. Lyra's abilities were not just unusual. They were rare, possibly unique, and that made her a target, not just for Varelia's natural predators, but for beings who would stop at nothing to control or capture her. He guided her back toward the colony, careful to avoid open areas. The forest seemed alive with whispers, the trees swaying even though there was no wind. Every shadow looked like a potential threat, and Elias's senses remained on high alert. When they reached the edge of the colony, the guards were already in a state of alarm. Word of the attack had spread quickly. Colonists peeked out of windows whispering to one another. Fear and curiosity etched across their faces. Elias set Lyra down gently. "She's fine," he told the guards, trying to reassure them. "But this was no ordinary attack. We need to be ready for more." The colony commander, a stern woman named Captain Rhea, stepped forward. Her eyes narrowed as she examined the area. "Elias, tell me exactly what happened," she demanded. Elias recounted the attack as clearly as he could, leaving nothing out. When he mentioned Lyra's glowing power, the commander's expression shifted from concern to awe. "We need to study her abilities," she said quietly, "and make sure she's protected." But Elias knew this was only the beginning. The energy that Lyra emitted was unlike anything humanity had encountered. Whoever or whatever was responsible for the attack would likely come back. And when they did, he had to be ready. That night, Elias sat outside his quarters, nursing his bruised shoulder and watching the twin moons of Virelia rise above the horizon. Lyra was asleep nearby, her small body curled under a blanket. For a moment, the quiet of the colony felt safe, almost serene. But Elias could not shake the feeling of eyes upon them, hidden in the forest, observing every move. He had always believed that bravery was about facing danger head-on. But tonight he realized it was also about understanding what was worth protecting, and being willing to risk everything for it. As the moons cast silver light over the colony, Elias made a silent promise to himself. No matter what came next, no matter how powerful or mysterious the attackers were, he would shield Lyra with his life. Unbeknownst to him, somewhere deep in the forest beyond the colony, glowing figures watched silently. They moved with grace and purpose, their forms ethereal and otherworldly. Among them was one whose presence made the air itself feel charged with energy. She had seen Elias's courage, his unwavering protection of the child, and now she would come. The events of this night would mark the beginning of a journey that none of them could have predicted. A journey that would challenge not only human limits, but the very understanding of life, loyalty, and courage across worlds. Elias did not know it yet, but the act of shielding a child had set forces in motion that would change everything. The colony, Virelia, and even humanity itself were about to face an encounter that would test the bonds of bravery, compassion, and honor in ways no one had ever imagined, and so, as the stars glittered like diamonds above, Elias kept his vigil. He did not sleep, for sleep was a luxury he could not afford. Every rustle, every shadow, every whisper of wind kept him alert. Because he knew deep in his bones that protecting Lyra was only the beginning, and the true challenge had not yet arrived. The next morning, Virelia's colony awoke to a sky unlike any they had ever seen. A ripple of shimmering light stretched across the horizon, like liquid silver flowing between the clouds. Birds and other wildlife froze, sensing something unusual. Elias, already awake from a restless night, stood on the observation deck, eyes fixed on the spectacle. He felt a familiar weight in his chest, foreboding. Something was coming, something powerful. And then it appeared. A starcraft unlike any human design descended slowly from the sky. Its hull shimmered with soft, luminous patterns that shifted as though alive. Unlike the rigid, metallic lines of human ships, this one seemed to breathe, almost organic in nature. Colonists poured into the open spaces outside their homes, gasping at the sight. Children clung to their parents, staring wide-eyed, while soldiers raised defensive weapons in caution, unsure whether this was a threat. Elias's attention, however, was on one particular figure who stepped out of the ship. She was tall, regal, and entirely unlike any being he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly, bioluminescent patterns flowing across her body like streams of light. Her eyes were large, reflecting both intelligence and a deep, commanding presence. She moved with a grace that seemed to bend the very air around her, and yet, despite her power, there was warmth in the way she looked at Lyra. The colonists whispered among themselves. "Who is she? What does she want? Is she dangerous?" Elias's heart pounded. There was no doubt in his mind. This was the mother of the child he had protected. He didn't know her, didn't even know her species, but the energy radiating from her left no room for doubt. She had come for Lyra. "Stay calm, Elias," he muttered to himself. He took Lyra's hand gently, guiding her toward a safer distance, though he could feel her curiosity. Lyra's small hand squeezed his in return, a silent reassurance. The alien mother's gaze locked on Elias, Her eyes seemed to look past his armor, past the weapons, past the colony walls, directly into his soul. For a moment he felt as though she could see every thought, every choice he had ever made. "You protected her," she said. Her voice was melodic, echoing slightly as if carried by the air itself. "You took the blows meant for her. You have courage." Elias straightened, keeping his voice steady even though his muscles were tense. "She is a child. I couldn't let anyone harm her. That is all." The alien's glowing pattern shifted, pulsating faster. Elias interpreted it as curiosity or perhaps surprise. "You have human strength," she said softly. "But more importantly, you have understanding. You know the weight of responsibility." From the colony's command center, Captain Rhea approached, flanked by several security officers. "Who are you?" she demanded, though her voice wavered under the presence of the alien. "Why are you here?" The alien turned toward her, acknowledging her with a subtle nod. "I am Erilyn. I am her mother. She is my child. You have housed her, cared for her, but now the time has come for her to return with me." Rhea's brow furrowed. "Return? She's human, or at least she has lived among humans. We can't just—" "Listen," Elias interrupted firmly, stepping slightly forward. "I don't know what she is, but I do know this. My duty is to protect her. Nothing else matters more right now." Erilyn's glowing pattern softened, a gentle acknowledgement of his bravery. She took a step closer, her presence both intimidating and comforting. Lyra's eyes widened in awe and recognition. The child ran forward, reaching toward Erilyn. The alien mother bent slightly, mirroring the motion, and for a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. "You are safe," Erilyn whispered to Lyra, her voice flowing like a calm stream. "You have done well. You have survived." Elias felt a pang of relief and unease at the same time. The bond between mother and child was stronger than anything he had ever experienced. It was clear that Lyra's powers were not random. They were inherited, a gift or perhaps a responsibility passed down from her mother. "Elias," Erilyn said, turning her gaze back to him, "your courage has been witnessed. But now a choice must be made." Elias's heart skipped. "Choice?" "You have protected her, risked your life for her," Erilyn explained. "Now the child belongs to me, and those who protect her cannot simply return to ignorance. You have been marked by your actions. You must decide whether to join us, guide her, and ensure her safety, or remain here knowing the danger will return." The colony grew tense. Soldiers shifted uneasily. Humans whispered, and children peeked from behind buildings. Elias could feel the weight of the moment pressing on him. The life he had known, the colony he had sworn to protect, all seemed fragile under the presence of this being. He clenched his fists. I will protect her," he said, "no matter what. But I need to know what that means. I am human. I cannot simply leave everything behind without understanding." Erilyn's patterns flickered in response. Approval mixed with patience. "Understanding comes with experience. You will learn. There is a bond between us now, one that will guide her and you to what must be done." Lyra stepped closer to Elias, holding his hand tightly. "He saved me," she said softly. "He is my protector." Erilyn looked at Elias again, her eyes full of meaning. "He has earned his place," she said to Lyra, "but a protector must be willing to step beyond fear." "Are you ready, human?" Elias's mind raced. He thought of the canyon, the attack, the moments when he had shielded Lyra from harm. He thought of the possibilities, unknown worlds, unknown beings, challenges beyond imagination. And yet he knew that he could not abandon the child he had sworn to protect. I am ready," he said, his voice firm. Erilyn inclined her head, a gesture both respectful and commanding. "Then the path begins. But know this, danger will follow. Those who attacked you are part of a greater threat. Their eyes are on my child, and now they will see that humans too are willing to stand against them." The colonists murmured among themselves. Some were fearful, some fascinated, but all could feel the significance of the moment. Elias and Lyra were no longer just a boy and a child on a distant colony. They were the center of a story that would stretch across stars. Elias turned to Lyra. "We're going to face a lot of unknowns," he said gently. "But we'll face them together. No matter what." The child nodded, her small hand gripping his tightly. "Together," she agreed. Erilyn extended a hand to Elias, her touch radiant but gentle. When he took it, a strange sensation washed over him. Calm, focus, and a connection he couldn't describe. It was as if the alien and human minds briefly brushed against each other, sharing understanding without words. "Prepare," she said. "The journey will be unlike anything you have known. But courage and compassion will guide you both. The first test begins soon." Elias exhaled slowly, feeling a mix of anticipation and tension. The night of the attack had been only the beginning. Now with Arlen here, the world he knew had expanded beyond the boundaries of human experience. He had shielded a child and survived, but survival alone would not be enough. Understanding, adaptability, and trust would become his greatest weapons. As the sun set over Veralia, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet, Elias and Lyra stood side by side, facing the alien mother who had come to reclaim her child. For Elias, it was a moment of both awe and responsibility. For Lyra, it was a moment of recognition and reunion. And for Arlen, it was the beginning of a journey that would test the limits of courage, loyalty, and the bond between species. In the distance, the forest seemed to whisper, as if acknowledging the presence of new alliances, new challenges, and new stories yet to unfold. Elias knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but he also knew that he had already proven something fundamental, that humanity could rise to meet the unknown with courage, heart, and an unwavering sense of duty. The stage was set. The first meeting had ended, but the true journey was only beginning. And Elias, who had once been an ordinary explorer, now stood at the threshold of a universe that demanded more than skill. It demanded the essence of what it meant to be human. The morning sun broke through the horizon of Veralia, casting long shadows across the colony. Elias Ward felt a mixture of anticipation and tension as he followed Arlen through the fields at the edge of the forest. Lyra ran ahead, her small feet barely touching the ground. Yet her glow was subtle and steady, a reminder of the power she carried inside her. Arlen walked with a calm elegance, her bioluminescent patterns shifting gently in rhythm with her steps. Elias noticed that the light seemed to respond to the mood of those around her, pulsing faintly when she observed him. Though she had greeted him with respect earlier, he could sense a deeper scrutiny in her gaze now. A test, perhaps, to see if he truly understood what protection meant. "You must understand," Arlen said, her voice soft yet carrying authority. "Protecting a child is not only about courage, it is about perception, wisdom, and the ability to act when all else fails." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I understand. I've protected people before, but nothing like her. She is different." "Different, yes," Arlen replied. "And your loyalty will be measured not by words, but by your actions." The first challenge began almost immediately. Arlen led them to a clearing where the terrain shifted in ways that defied human expectations. Gravity seemed to fluctuate in random patches, forcing Elias to carefully step across surfaces that tilted or floated slightly above the ground. Small sentient drones buzzed around, observing his every move. "Adaptation," Arlen explained. "A protector must adapt. The universe does not remain constant. You must learn to move with it." Elias focused, stepping lightly yet confidently. He remembered the canyon attack, the suddenness, the need to react quickly. He moved with care, adjusting his steps as the ground beneath him shifted. Lyra followed, giggling with delight, though her glow dimmed when she tripped. Elias caught her immediately, holding her close and whispering reassurance. "You see," Arlen said, "your instincts are correct. Protection is not only defense, it is guidance." Once they crossed the shifting terrain, Arlen led them to a chamber hidden among the trees. Inside, walls of polished stone reflected a strange light, and the air vibrated faintly like a quiet hum. The chamber contained several alien constructs, creatures made of energy, almost translucent, moving with deliberate grace. "These are the Guardians," Arlen said. "They are neither friend nor foe. They test the heart of those who wish to protect. You will demonstrate your worth to them." Elias stepped forward cautiously. One guardian glided toward him, its form twisting and pulsing. It emitted a soft, musical hum that resonated in his chest. He extended his hands, unsure of what to do. The creature reacted instantly, retreating slightly before observing him silently. "It is not your strength they test," Arlen explained. "It is your understanding." Elias closed his eyes, focusing on the calm that had carried him through countless dangers. He remembered his training, how human ingenuity often meant using the environment, not brute force, to succeed. Slowly he reached out, mimicking the Guardian's movements. The energy creature tilted in response as if acknowledging the attempt. Over the next hours, he repeated the exercise with several guardians, each test slightly more difficult. Some demanded patience, others required quick thinking, and a few tested his compassion. When a guardian emitted a pulse that mimicked distress, Elias instinctively knelt and offered comfort, demonstrating empathy alongside skill. Erilyn watched closely, her light patterns pulsing brighter with each successful interaction. Finally, one of the guardians extended a tendril of energy toward him. Elias held his hand steady, allowing the energy to brush against him. A sudden vision filled his mind. Images of distant worlds, children in danger, humans and aliens alike struggling to survive. It was overwhelming, yet he remained calm. He realized then that protecting Lyra was not just about this planet or even this moment. It was about a responsibility that extended far beyond himself. "You understand," Erilyn said quietly. "You see the bigger picture. A protector must do more than survive. They must act for the good of others, even when danger is unseen." Elias nodded, sweat forming on his brow. I understand." Erilyn's patterns flickered, brighter now, almost celebratory. "Then you are ready for the next test." This test was physical. Erilyn guided them to a section of the forest that humans had never explored. Trees grew twisted and high, forming natural obstacles that seemed impossible to navigate. The ground was uneven, with hidden pits and fast-moving streams of water. From the treetops, small predators watched silently, curious but restrained. "You must demonstrate not only your courage but your ingenuity," Erilyn said. "The path is treacherous, and only those who think beyond conventional limits will succeed." Elias surveyed the area carefully. He noticed the shadows cast by the trees, the way the sunlight hit the rocks, the flow of the streams. Using his knowledge of terrain and physics, he found paths where footing was stable, avoiding danger with precision. When he encountered a narrow ledge over a rushing stream, he extended a fallen branch to create a bridge, showing quick thinking. Lyra followed closely, her small hands gripping his shoulders for balance. Midway through, a predator emerged, a large, fox-like creature with luminous eyes and razor-sharp claws. It leapt toward Lyra, but Elias reacted instantly, throwing his body between them. Lyra's glow flared, and the predator paused, sensing her power. Elias used the moment to push her out of danger and distract the creature with a thrown branch. The creature backed down, retreating into the forest. "You acted with both courage and care," Erilyn said, her voice carrying pride. "Many would have fled or struck blindly. You protected the child without endangering her further. That is the mark of a true guardian." By late afternoon, Elias was exhausted. His muscles ached and his mind was stretched to its limits. Yet he felt a deep satisfaction, knowing he had risen to challenges that were beyond human expectation. Lyra, though tired, was radiant, her glow now steady and bright, a reflection of the lessons she was learning alongside him. Erilyn guided them to a calm clearing. A gentle breeze swept through the trees, carrying the scents of the forest. "You have passed the initial tests," she said. "But there is one final challenge before your loyalty is fully recognized." Elias listened closely. "What is it?" he asked. "This is a test of judgment," Erilyn explained. "A protector must make choices under pressure, where no answer is perfect. You will encounter a scenario where the safety of the child, the lives of others, and your own survival may conflict. You must act wisely." The scene appeared before them as if conjured by the forest itself. A holographic projection displayed a simulation. Lyra trapped on a collapsing bridge over a river, with a group of colonists in danger downstream and an unseen threat closing in from above. Elias had seconds to decide whom to save first. His mind raced. Instinct told him to protect Lyra first. Experience reminded him of the consequences of leaving the others in danger. He analyzed the timing, the angles, and the movements of the simulated threat. Using logic and speed, he formulated a plan. He would secure Lyra's safety while simultaneously creating a diversion to help the others escape. Elias ran toward the simulation, moving with precision.
He reached Lyra first, lifting her safely as the bridge groaned beneath them.
At the same time, he triggered a mechanism that simulated debris falling to block the incoming threat, giving the colonists time to move to safety. When the simulation ended, Erilyn's voice was calm but strong. "You chose well. You acted with protection as your priority, but you also considered the lives of others. This balance is rare, You have demonstrated not only courage, but wisdom and compassion. Your loyalty is unquestioned." Elias exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. He looked down at Lyra, who hugged him tightly, her glow warm against his chest. "You did it," she whispered. "You're my hero." Erlen's patterns shimmered like sunlight on water. "You have earned a place by our side, not because it is demanded, but because you have proven your worth. The universe will test you further, but now, you are prepared for what comes next." For the first time, Elias felt a true connection, not only with the alien mother and child, but with the broader universe. He realized that his humanity, the courage, ingenuity, and empathy that defined him, was not a weakness. It was a strength. And in this new chapter, it would be the key to survival and protection. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden and violet hues across the forest, Elias understood that his journey had only begun. He had faced tests that measured his heart, mind, and spirit, and he had passed. But beyond the forest and the shifting paths of Virelia lay challenges far greater than he could imagine, threats that would push the limits of human bravery and determination. Yet, standing beside Lyra and under the watchful guidance of Arlen, Elias felt ready. For the first time in his life, he understood that protecting another being was not just about strength. It was about vision, choice, and unwavering dedication. And he knew, deep in his bones, that he would rise to every challenge that came, no matter the cost. The quiet of Virelia's colony was deceptive. Though the morning sun painted the settlement in gold, a tension hung in the air, one that even the brightest days could not dispel. Elias Ward felt it before anyone else. A prickling sensation along his spine, a warning honed from years of surviving dangers far beyond human imagination. He and Lyra were training under Erlen's guidance, learning to harness her teachings and her technology. The child's glow had grown stronger over the past days, pulses of light reacting instinctively to her emotions. Elias had come to rely on her subtle signals, the way her energy fluctuated before danger approached. But today even Lyra's light was uneven, a flicker of unease he could not ignore. "They are coming," he whispered to Erlen, who stood nearby, her patterns pulsing with awareness. "They have been following us," Erlen replied calmly. "The group that attacked you was only a scout team. Their master waits in the shadows, watching, planning. The threat is greater than we first anticipated." Elias clenched his fists. "We need to prepare the colony. Every person, every defense." Erlen nodded. "Yes, but this is not only a physical battle. It will test strategy, courage, and trust. You and Lyra will be at the center." By mid-afternoon, warnings echoed through the colony. Sensors detected unusual energy signatures beyond the forest perimeter. Captain Rhea coordinated the human defenders while Elias worked with Erlen to set up defenses using a combination of human technology and alien energy fields. The colony, a small but resilient outpost, became a hive of urgent activity. As darkness fell, the shadowed figures emerged. The rogue alien band returned, far larger and better organized than before. Their skins shimmered with dark energy and their weapons glowed ominously. But now Elias was ready. He had anticipated their tactics and set traps using both human ingenuity and Erlen's alien tech. The first clash was sudden and violent. Energy blasts lit the night, colliding with shields and rock walls. Elias moved with precision, directing colonists to safety while coordinating defensive strikes. Lyra's glow flared, her small hands releasing pulses of protective energy that repelled some attackers. Though she was young, she was beginning to understand how to control her abilities in life-threatening situations. Amid the chaos, Elias noticed a massive figure moving through the shadows, a warlord among the attackers, far larger and more fearsome than the scouts. Its movements were calculated, intelligent, and deadly. He realized that this was the true enemy behind the ambush, the one who had sent the scouts months ago to observe Lyra. "Focus on the child first," Erlen instructed. "Her power must be protected above all else. The others are distractions." Elias followed her advice. He maneuvered through the battlefield, using cover and terrain to shield Lyra while leading her toward a secure area reinforced with alien energy barriers. Along the way, he instructed colonists to retreat strategically, minimizing casualties while maintaining control over key defensive positions. Lyra's energy pulsed brighter as she sensed Elias's focus and determination. She raised her hands instinctively, creating protective shields around both herself and him. Elias felt the warmth of her power, a living force that strengthened his resolve. Together they formed a moving shield, advancing while evading and countering attacks. The warlord advanced, and Elias knew a direct confrontation was inevitable. Using a combination of human tactics and Erlen's technology, he lured the creature into a trap, forcing it into a narrow canyon where its size and power were limited. Blasts of energy collided against the canyon walls, sending sparks and debris into the air. Elias dodged and countered, striking precise points that destabilized the warlord's balance. Lyra's glow surged. She extended her hands toward the creature, and a wave of energy pushed it back, momentarily staggering it. Elias seized the opportunity, guiding colonists to flank the enemy while creating barriers to cut off its retreat. The combination of human planning and alien power worked in harmony. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The rogue attackers were driven back, their warlord retreating into the darkness with the survivors. The colony was battered but intact. Elias and Lyra stood together, exhausted but triumphant, surrounded by grateful colonists and a proud Erlen. "You have done well," she said, her voice both warm and authoritative. "You have demonstrated not only courage but leadership and adaptability. These are the qualities of a true protector. The universe will continue to test you, but know this: your bravery has strengthened the bond between our species. Lyra is safe and her potential can now grow under your guidance." Elias nodded, relief washing over him. The threat was not completely gone, he knew that, but he had proven that humans could rise to meet even the most advanced challenges, using both intelligence and heart. As the first light of dawn touched the colony, Elias realized something profound. Heroism was not about fighting alone. It was about uniting, protecting, and inspiring others, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And in that realization, he felt ready for whatever came next. The morning after the battle, the colony was quiet but tense. The human colonists worked tirelessly to repair the damage, while Elias, Lyra, and Erlen stood atop a small hill overlooking the settlement. The events of the past days weighed heavily on everyone, and yet, in the calm after chaos, a new understanding had begun to form. Erlen's glowing pattern shifted slowly as she spoke. "The danger has passed, but the next choice is yours, Elias. The child now has a chance to return to her homeworld, but you must decide whether to remain here or accompany us." Elias felt the weight of her words. His mind flashed to the canyon attack, to Lyra's frightened eyes, to the moment he had shielded her from harm. He thought of the bond they had formed, the trust and reliance that had grown between them. The choice was not simple. He loved the colony, his human friends, and the life he had built here, but Lyra's safety and the greater responsibility that came with her powers were undeniable. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "Why not someone from your species?" "Because you have shown what is rare among humans," Erlen explained. "Courage, ingenuity, empathy. You understand the weight of responsibility in a way most do not. You protected her without expectation of reward. That is why you are here." Elias looked down at Lyra, who held his hand tightly. Her small glow pulsed with warmth, as if reassuring him silently. She had grown stronger and more confident, yet he sensed her trust was absolute. I don't know if I'm ready," he admitted. "I've never left humans behind for a journey like this. What if I fail?" "You will not fail," Erlen replied firmly. "You have already proven yourself. But the journey will require more than courage. It will demand understanding, adaptability, and unwavering dedication. Are you willing to take that step?" Elias took a deep breath. The events of the past days had taught him more than any training ever could. The value of protecting life, the strength of bonds across differences, and the power of human ingenuity in the face of the unknown, they all converged in this moment. "I am willing," he said finally, his voice steady.
"I will go with you."
"I will protect her, and I will do everything I can to ensure her safety and growth." Erlen's patterns shifted brighter, a sign of approval and trust. Lyra's smile widened, her glow expanding as she hugged him tightly. For a moment the three of them stood together, the human, the child, and the alien mother, bound by respect, courage, and shared purpose. The preparations began immediately. Erlen's starcraft hovered nearby, its hull gleaming in the early morning light. Elias helped Lyra aboard, ensuring she was comfortable and safe. Soldiers and colonists watched silently, a mixture of awe and pride in their eyes. Captain Rhea approached Elias, offering a firm handshake. "Take care of her," she said, her voice filled with sincerity. "And remember that humans will always be watching, ready to stand with you if needed." Elias nodded. "I will, thank you." As he stepped onto the ship, Elias felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The universe beyond Virelia was vast and unknown, filled with challenges that would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. But he also felt a profound certainty. Humanity's courage, empathy, and determination were not limited to their planet. These qualities would carry him forward, guiding him through every trial. Erlen guided the ship into orbit. The engines emitted a soft hum, almost like a heartbeat, as they lifted off. Elias looked down at the colony, now tiny below them, and felt a surge of pride. He had protected life, guided others, and made choices that reflected the best of humanity. Lyra leaned against him, her glow warm and steady. "Are you scared?" she asked softly. Elias smiled. "A little, but I'm ready, and we'll face it together." The ship soared into space, stars stretching infinitely in every direction. The journey to Cerinthia awaited, a path filled with unknown dangers and extraordinary discoveries. Elias knew that he had already proven one fundamental truth. Humans could rise to any challenge, protect the innocent, and form bonds that transcended species. And as the ship glided past distant planets and glowing nebulae, Elias realized that heroism was not about being invincible. It was about courage, heart, and the choice to stand up for others, even in the face of the unimaginable. For the first time, he felt a deep, unshakable certainty. Together, they could face anything, and the story of courage, protection, and humanity's potential was only beginning.